ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्ति। ॐ सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानाम् आलयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादं शङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। ॐ समस्तजनकल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। ॐ नमस्ते अस्तु भगवन् विश्वेश्वराय महादेवाय त्र्यम्बकाय त्रिपुरान्तकाय त्रिकाग्निकालाय कालाग्निरुद्राय नीलकण्ठाय मृत्युञ्जयाय सर्वेश्वराय सदाशिवाय श्रीमन्महादेवाय नमः। हरि ओम, salutations to all. In the Vidyeshwara Samhita, chapter 5 in the Shiva Purana, various munis, they have gathered and they are asking Sutaji that most of the forms of gods, they are worshipped through the image. So the form will be worshipped, vigraha will be made, and archana etc. will be offered. For Shivji, why is the form of linga as well as the image both? Why is Shivji worshipped in both? Linge vare cha sarvatra katham sampujyate Shivaha. So he says, so Sutaji replies that this Shiva Mahapurana also is composed by Shivji himself, and he only answered this question once. So what did he say? He said that I have two aspects. One is Sagun, other is Nirgun. So in my Sagun aspect, I am worshipped as the form which has specific qualities. So we saw that so many days we have been doing that. Then he says, in my Nirgun Swarup, which is Satchidananda Swarup, I manifest in the form of the Linga, which does not have human parts, which does not have human aspects, but it represents the formless truth. Because the word Linga literally means that. Linga means an indicator. The literal meaning of the word Linga is an indicator. Like the flag is the indicator of Bhagwan, of the country. A photograph, let us say, of your son, it reminds you of your son as an indicator. Otherwise, it's a piece of paper. Same way, Shiva Linga. So Linga means indicator, and Shiva Linga means indicator of Shiva, who is pure consciousness. So our body also is called subtle body, mind, intellect, memory, ego, senses, meaning sense faculty, not these gross sense organs. Seeing, hearing, tasting, smelling, touching, grasping, moving, speaking, evacuating, reproducing. So all these 10 senses, 5 pranas, mind, intellect, memory, ego, these 19 items, they constitute our subtle body. That subtle body in Vedanta also is called Linga Sharir. Why it is called Linga Sharir? Because it's an indicator of life in the gross body. As long as subtle body is there with the gross body, the person will be alive, that being will be alive. The moment that subtle body disassociates from the gross body, that gross body will be again as before, it will be inert. Now, subtle body by itself does not have any capacity because that is also made up of 5 elements. It is Jada Vastu. But it has this, it is made up of sattvic aspect of 5 elements. So it has the ability to reflect consciousness. Reflect meaning it is enlivened by consciousness, which further then that subtle body identifies with the gross body, and then one is able to perceive, feel, think, respond. So that subtle body is called Linga Sharir. And hence it indicates consciousness. It indicates Satchidananda Swarup, existence, consciousness, and bliss. So here he says that he is, I am called Sagun because of being beautiful, and Sakala, spotless, and Nishkala, meaning devoid of any parts. So Linga does not have any human form. Linga is both Sagun, both Sakar and Nirakar at the same time. It is Sakar because Linga still has a shape, because we have given a shape actually. Otherwise, we have given a shape in the sense that Bhagwan manifested finally in that shape. Otherwise, the way he manifested earlier, that has no boundaries at all. We will come to that. Then for our convenience, so that we can worship, a specific form with specific boundaries came about, but it does not have any other parts in terms of eyes, ears, face, legs, hands, none of that. So that is one aspect. So we say it is Sakala and Nishkala both. Then he says that no, except Shiva, no other god has been called as Shabda Brahma, therefore they could never be called as Nishkala. See, this is, as I said earlier also, this is Shiv Purana. In this, Shivji is the greatest. Like Brahmaji can only do creation, Vishnu Bhagwan can only do sustenance, but Shivji can do all the 5. Sarga, Sthiti, Laya, Tirobhava, and Anugraha. That's Shiv Puran mein Shivji is the greatest, is a supreme. So here he says that hence nobody is comparable to Lord Shiva, who could be adored in the Nirgun Swarup also, and being the form of silence and absolute and being invisible form, Bhagwan is worshipped as the Linga. Then Sanat Kumars also asked the same question to Nandi. So the Sanat Kumars, they asked the question that in the adoration of all the other gods, they are adored through their form, but for Shivji, why is the Linga adored along with the form? So Nandi says that though your question relates to Brahman and is of secret nature as such, its reply cannot be given. Still, because you are very noble and a devotee of Shiva, therefore, whatever has been heard by me from Shiva himself, I am going to repeat the same to you. So he says, Shivasya Brahma Rupatvat Nishkalatvat Cha Nishkalam, because Shiva is Brahman himself. Brahman is nameless, formless, attributeless, infinite. It does not have any boundaries. So he says, Lingam tasyaiva pujayam sarva vedeshu sammatam tasyaiva sakalatvacha tatha sakala nishkalam. So Linga is accepted in the Veda, meaning it is revealed in the Veda, and this is the Nirgun form of Shiva. And also because it has a specific certain form also, then we say it is Sagun also, Sakar also, but by itself it is representing Nirgun Tattva. So those who say that they are worshipping Shivalinga We are worshipping stone. They don't understand that for us it is reminding us of that infinite consciousness. If somebody says you are saluting a piece of cloth when the flag, the army soldier dies for the honor of the flag that represents honor of the country. So how can one say that one is worshipping some stone? One is not worshipping a stone. One is worshipping the divine. Looking at that, one is reminded of Shiva in the Sagun Roop or Nirgun Roop or both. Sagun Sakar, Nirgun Nirakar, both. So he says that Nandi continues that in the Vedas, the Murti Puja also is there and Linga Puja is also there. So Vedas explain both. And he says, Sanat Kumars, they further ask the question that please tell us about the origin of the Linga. Genesis of the great Linga. Please tell us about that. So he says, okay. Nandi says, I will tell you, keeping in mind that you are very devoted, so I am going to reveal to you. So he gives one story. So in Shvetavaraha Kalpa, there was a fight between Brahmaji and Vishnu Bhagwan, that who is Ishvara, who is the greatest. And we find here that that is described elaborately in this. I will explain to you in brief. So it is said that once Lord Vishnu was gracefully sleeping over his serpent bed, surrounded by Garuda and all the other attendants. At that time, Brahmaji comes there of his own sweet will and he questions Lord Vishnu, who was lying on the serpent bed. So he says, who are you? You are sleeping like an arrogant person, even after finding that I have arrived. Oh son, you get up and meet me. I am your master and I have arrived here before you. Imagine Brahmaji saying this to Vishnu Bhagavan. Then he says that finding the adorable preceptor having arrived before you, he says, I am your guru, and he addresses him as son also. Uttishta vatsama paschimam pasya tavanatham ihagatam. Your Lord has come, your guru has come, you are behaving like an arrogant person. The one who does so, he has to repent for the same being a fool. So Bhagavan Vishnu, as though he got upset and internally he got disturbed, but externally he showed that he was peaceful. And he said, son, let welfare be bestowed on you. You are welcome, you take your seat here. Both of them address each other as the son. So Brahmaji looked at him and said, your face, you are upset and your eyes are curved. O son Vishnu, presently, because of the influence of the time, you have become proud. So Vishnu Bhagavan replies, O son, I happen to be your protector and the great grandfather of the universe. The entire universe is lodged in me. You consider it to be your own like a thief. Please remember, this is a Leela happening, okay? The glory of Shivji and the Nirgun Tattva is what is being elaborated through this. Now, suddenly don't start thinking, how is all this possible? And if they are like this, then what is the point? How can they be gods? They are also doing Leela. The Brahmaji is born from the Nabhi of Mahavishnu, and he did not know also how to create, what to create. He just heard the word tapa, tapa, and then he started meditating. 1,000 years he meditated. Then Bhagwan manifested in front of him, gave him the knowledge. So in Bhagavatam, we find that Vishnu Bhagwan is glorious. There he gave the knowledge to Brahmaji, and then only Brahmaji was able to create. So here, that's why he says, I happen to be your protector and the great grandfather of the universe. Why great grandfather? Because Brahmaji is the grandfather. So Mahavishnu, then comes Brahmaji, then comes the Manasa Putras of Brahmaji, and then they will create the further gross creation. So father, grandfather, great grandfather. So he says, I am the great grandfather of the universe. The entire universe is lodged in me, and you consider it to be your own as like a thief. You are born out of the lotus emerging from my navel, therefore you are not correct. Now both of them, they have started fighting with each other, and they sat on their respective vehicles. Literally fighting is happening now. Vishnu Bhagwan sat on Garudji and Brahmaji sat on the swan. And now they are firing missiles at each other. There's one whole section comes here that each of them are firing. And finally, what happens? Both of them have fired terrible missiles. One has fired Pashupatastra, another has fired Mahadevastra. Both have fired these weapons without any, hesitation, without even permission from Bhagwan Shiva. So they are fighting. They are using his astras, and they have released it on each other. Now what happened? Devatas and all got very scared that what is happening. So they all go to Bhagwan Shiva. So Bhagwan Shivji, he listens to all of them. Brahmaji and Vishnu Bhagwan, they all have also gone there. And finding them engaged in fight, Shiva halted, concealing himself with Parvati and the army. So he revealed himself and he stopped their fight. And he suddenly manifested as one huge column of light. So Brahmaji and Vishnu Bhagwan both are fighting. Shivji goes there and makes them stop the fight. And suddenly he becomes a huge column of light. And he tells both of them, um, what is this pillar-like formation resembling the fire flames which has been raised above? They both wonder, okay, what has happened here suddenly, and they need to find out the beginning or the end of this pillar, of this column of light. So Brahmaji takes the form of a swan and he flew up in the sky to ascertain the top. Vishnu Bhagwan became a boar, went down, and both of them are going searching. So when he could not find, Vishnu Bhagwan could not find anything, any end, he very humbly came back. He said, there is no end to this. But Brahmaji, he found that Ketki flower. One flower was falling, Ketki flower. This is that Ketki flower, this yellow color one. So he found this Ketki flower that was falling. So he caught that and then he came. So the Ketki flower still had some fragrance. It had not faded out. It had fallen from its stem. Now both of them were unsuccessful. But what happened? Brahmaji came and said, I found this on the top. He said, "O king of flowers, why are you falling? Who had held you?" The flower said, "I had fallen long back before the creation. This pillar appeared without any authority. I was lodged in the middle of it and I reached here." So, till date, I have not been able to locate the beginning or the end of it. You also give up this hope. The flower said that. So, Brahma said, "I have also arrived here taking to the form of a swan to know about the same key. What is at the top?" The flower said, "You can't find the top." Now, Brahmaji and this flower, they strike a deal. Oh friend, you accomplish my task. You get along with me and speak to Vishnu accordingly. That Brahma has found the end of this column. You say that you are my witness. Thus speaking, Brahma offered his salutation to the Ketki flower again and again. Now, he and the Ketki flower, they come. So when Brahmaji came and met Vishnu, Bhagwan, what does he say? He says, "O Hari, I have seen the top of this pillar and this flower is my witness for the same." At the instance of Brahma, the Ketki flower made a false statement before him. Taking the words of Brahma to be true, Vishnu offered his salutation to the form and adored him in 16 ways. Vishnu Bhagwan said, okay, if you are greater amongst both of us. You found the top. I didn't find. So he considered defeat and he worshipped. There Shivji appears from that pillar of light and he punishes Brahma. Brahma and Vishnu, both of them touched his feet with their shaking hands and he said, you have a body without a beginning or the end. Because of his ignorance, a person is unable to find you in spite of much efforts. O compassionate one, please uh, be pleased with me. Vishnu Bhagwan very compassionately, very humbly, he submits that be pleased with me. Just by having your darshan, my sins have all been washed out. You forgive me kindly. All this is your Leela, you are the greatest, I understand that. Vishnu Bhagwan, because he was humble, he immediately understood. This is a Leela of Bhagwan only. So, Shivji says that, oh Vishnu, I am very pleased with you because you have spoken the truth. Therefore, you would achieve divinity in the world and you will also earn my grace. From today, your images shall be adored in different parts with festivities. And because of that truthful conduct, Shivji was very happy with him. Then what happened? Brahmaji told lies. He had to shatter the pride of Brahmaji. So, what did Bhagwan do? From his eyebrows, he produced this Bhairava. Bhairava was produced from his eyebrows. He came prostrate in front of Bhagwan and he said, what do I have to do? Please give me the command. And Shivji said that you have to, with a sharp-edged sword, kill Brahma. Finish. And on hearing this, Bhairava caught hold of the hair of Brahma's head in his hand and severed the fifth head, which told the untruth. And he got ready to kill Brahmaji also. Then Brahmaji suddenly, he begged for forgiveness. He was shaking like the banana leaves or the leaves of the creeper and fell down at the feet of Bhairava. And looking at this condition of Brahmaji, uh, looking at the precarious condition of Brahma, shedding tears over the feet of Lord Shiva, folding both his hands, he spoke in sweet tongue in the same way a child speaks to his father. What did so Brahmaji was pleading. So Vishnu Bhagwan immediately interferes. He says that, by your grace only 5 heads were available to Brahmaji. And it is, one of them is now destroyed. So he has only 4 heads. You please be merciful over Brahmaji. Already he got punishment. 1 head is gone now. So when Vishnu Bhagwan prayed to Shivji that way, Shivji stopped Bhairava and he said, okay, you don't kill him. Let the remaining heads be there. But Brahmaji, he said, you played a trick because you wanted to be greatest and you wanted to be worshipful. And so he said, you will not be worshipped in this world. Therefore, no one on earth would adore you honor you or arrange for the festivities in the world in your name. So that's one of the reasons why Brahmaji is not worshipped, and there are not many temples of Brahmaji in the whole world, as many as are for Shivji or Vishnu Bhagwan. Some are still there, but this is one reason. The creator Brahmaji, if he tells lies, see, if we want to be glorious, we have to be glorious in a dharmic way. We should not be glorious in adharmic ways. That is one another point of this story. People who want to reach at the top should have integrity to reach at the top. With falsehood, conceit, one can't reach. Even if one reaches, one will not be able to sustain. Even if one sustains it because of whatever earlier good karmas, the pain when one falls from there will be terrible. And that fall need not happen in one life only, it can happen over multiple lives. So many consequences come. And so he says this, that you will not be worshipped. He tells this to Brahmaji. Now Brahmaji accepts his mistake. He says, I am very sorry. Please be pleased with me. Already my head is severed. I consider it to be the salutation at your feet, that the head is offered there. He really repents and he seeks forgiveness. So Shivji says that I give you a boon which is difficult to get. You should accept it. You would be the preceptor for the Vedic yajnas and those propounded by the Smritis. Without you, the entire yajna would become infructuous. Then Bhagwan addressed Ketki flower also, that you also are, hand in glove with Brahmaji. So, O wicked Ketki flower, you disappear to a far off place. From today onwards, I would not like you to be offered at the time of my adoration. That's why generally Ketki flower is not offered to Shivji. So when Bhagwan said this, all the Devatas started removing Ketki flower from everywhere, and whatever species are related to the Ketki flower, they start removing. So the Ketki flower says that, O Master, with your present curse on me, my birth on earth would become infructuous. Therefore, please forgive me for my sin and allow my life to be successful. What is the purpose of my birth? If I can't be offered at your offered in your worship, then it is useless. So Shivji is very compassionate. This another aspect of this Leela is this. Brahmaji sought forgiveness, he immediately forgave. So when we say Karuna and Karma Phala Data, they are two eyes of Shivji. So he gave the Karma Phala because Brahmaji told lies. He chopped off his head. And Bhagwan did Prayaschitta for that, because he got angry and he created Bhairava and chopped off the head. One of the names of Bhagwan is Kapali, because just with his hand, with his nails, the head of Brahmaji was sliced off, and that head stuck to Bhagwan's hand. So he's called Kapali. He has the Kapala of Brahmaji in his hand. So that is Brahmahatya dosha. That is the greatest dosha anybody can get. And he is Brahmaji himself. So Bhagwan went and did lot of tapasya. And he lived as a bhikshu. And he went around asking bhiksha. And that is where that is the story where we see Annapurna Devi giving bhiksha to Shivji. Because Bhagwan lived as a bhikshu, did tapasya for a long time, and he kept asking every day bhiksha, bhiksham dehi cha Parvati. So, though he is the Lord of the universe, he still got angry, he chopped off the head, so he did the penance for it, he repented for it, and does the prayaschitta also. At the same time, when Brahmaji is really repented and asked forgiveness, he forgives him. He gave him the curse also, that you will not be worshipped, and then he gave a consolation also. Same way, Ketki flower did the mistake, she repents, she seeks forgiveness. So Shivji said, you will not be worshipped in my, you will not be used in my worship, but in the worship of Brahma and Vishnu and other devatas, you will be used. So your life will not go for a waste. And even in my worship, you will be used to construct any mandapas, etc., but not directly on the linga. So that's why he says that having done all this, now what happens? Both of them, they prostrate to Bhagwan Shiva, Brahmaji and Vishnu Bhagwan, and they seated Bhagwan Shiva with his family over a high pedestal, adored him with various divine offerings. Then whatever they have offered, Bhagwan also gave it away to different beings who are there, Siddhas and Charanas and all the Ganas and Devatas. He distributed to all of them. He blessed them that both of you be happy. O sons, this is a great day and I am very happy with your worship for me. Now, since then, the day is considered to be most auspicious and yields merit. That is the day of Shivaratri. This date is dear to Lord Shiva and is well known by the name of Shivaratri. Shivaratri ti khyata tithiresha mama priya. Shivaratri riti khyata tithiresha mama priya. So that is the day when Bhagwan manifested as the column of light. People also celebrate it as the wedding day of Bhagwan Shiva and Parvati. And he goes on to say that whosoever would adore Shiva's image or Shivalinga on that day becomes competent to creation, maintenance, and destruction of the universe. And the glory of Shivaratri is given. That controlling the senses, fasting totally for 24 hours, whoever shall adore Shiva according to his capacity, without deceitfulness, meaning with straightforwardness, humility, how Vishnu Bhagwan was that way. That person shall earn the merit equal to performing of my worship for a year. The merit equal to my worship for a year shall be also achieved by a person who performs my adoration on the day of Shivaratri. Then he also says that on a specific day, which is in the Ardra Nakshatra, so he says that Bhagwan had earlier appeared also in the same way in the form of a Linga. Linga in the sense pillar of light, infinite light, in the month of Marga Shirsha and the constellation of Ardra. So whoever worships Bhagwan in that Ardra Nakshatra, every year we celebrate that, Kartik Maas it will come. In Tamil Nadu they call it Kartik. Here it will be this Marga Shirsha. Kartik only in Tamil Nadu, I'm a little confused on that name. But yes, in the Ardha Nakshatra, Bhagwan Shiva is worshipped and that Ardra Darshanam is very auspicious. So Bhagwan had manifested as a column of light that time also. And he says that that person who worships me on that day becomes dearer to me, even more dearer than Kartikeya. And he says that where he manifested as in the Ardra Nakshatra, Anadyanantamidam stambham anumatram bhavishyati darshanartham hi jagatam pujanartham hi putrakau. He says, O sons, addressing both of them, this is without beginning or end. This is a huge pillar. But for the sake of human beings, it will become smaller. Bhogavahamidam lingam bhukti muktyeka sadhanam darshana sparshana dhyana jantunam janma mochanam. He says this linga will help the jiva to attain both bhukti and mukti by having a look at it or by touching it and meditating upon it. One would be freed from the bondage of birth and death. This is the significance. That which was infinite, without beginning and without end, becomes a specific form. Now this linga appeared at this place like a mountain of fire, which therefore this place would be known in this world by the name of Arunachala. Beautiful. Arunachala mountain is Shivji's form only. Shiva Purana is saying that. So the place would become an immensely sacred tirtha. Those who would live here and meet their death here would be redeemed. Ratha Yatra would be performed here and the place would be quite benevolent, fit for human habitation. Japa, Homa, charity performed here would yield crore times more than ordinary merit. That's why that place, Kshetra Mahatmya, is there of Arunachala. And Ramana Maharshi added so much more glory to that place. Tiruvannamalai is there. Tiruvannamalai is Bhagwan Shiva. And that is the mountain. There Bhagwan is worshipped in the form of the Linga, and that is Agni Linga there. So if you go close to the sanctum there, you will feel the heat. Agni Linga is there. So that place is Tiruvannamalai. And he said this would be considered to be the best of all my kshetras. The person reaching here who would recite my name would attain rapid salvation. Now, little more he says about the Linga Mahatmya, that one who would conceive me as Lingeshwara in this Linga, he would achieve Salokya, Samipya, Sarupya, Sarshti and Sayujya. All types of mukti one will get by worshipping the Linga. So in this way, Nandi concludes this saying that Bhagwan Shiva showed his benevolence on Brahmaji and Vishnu, and ultimately the consciousness alone is the truth that is established, and that consciousness is represented as the Linga. So for a devotee, the Linga is not stone. For a devotee, Linga is not some inert material. It is reminding of Shiva, who is Chaitanya. So for the devotee, Linga is Chinmaya. It is Chaitanya. It is consciousness. And it is reminding the devotee of the formless actually. If one may remember the form also, not a problem with that, because the Linga is a symbol of Shiva. So I can remember Shiva in the form, or I can remember Shiva in the formless. Specifically, if I want to remember in the formless, then definitely Linga helps to realize that. So he says this whole Leela he did because otherwise he is in a Nirgun Roop, and how the people can worship him. So to give a support, to give a indicator to the devotees, the whole Leela was done. And he says that you should consider my present form as Saguna and the form of my pillar representing the Nirguna, I mean Linga as the Nirguna. Madatmakam nityam mama sanidhya karanam mahat pujyamidam nityam abhedalinga linginoho. Very nice it says here that this Linga is the form of my soul and bestows my vicinity. So those who worship Linga as with the bhav of Sagun Sakar, they will get Salokya, Sarupya, Samipya, those types of mukti. But those who worship the Linga with the Nirgun bhav, they will have Sayujya. So bhav is important. The upasana always is bhav pradhan. So here he says the Linga and Lingi, meaning the symbol and what it indicates, both are actually one. They are not different. Both Linga and Lingi are inseparable. It should be treated as my form and should be worshipped daily. See, in the example of the flag and the country, the piece of cloth is not the country. It indicates the country, we remember the country. But in the case of Linga, that Linga also is Shiva only. It's not only reminding us of Shiva, because everything is appearance of Shiva. So Linga also is Shiva. And that Linga is not just the form there, Linga is everywhere. Because remember, Linga indicates consciousness, and where is consciousness? Consciousness is everywhere. So each of us also are lingas. Every being is a linga. And so the Shiva devotee remembers Bhagavan Shiva, looking at the linga, remembers consciousness alone is and infinite it is, inside, outside, everywhere there is one consciousness, one aspect, one bhav. Second bhav is one says, all these are nothing but Shiva in another form. So I will serve Bhagavan Shiva through my actions. All of them are lingas only. So, because linga and lingi are one. And he says that whoever might have consecrated the linga at any place, I reside there even without consecration, even if formal, pratishtha, etc. is not done. If the linga is there, that means Shiva is there. So this is the glory of the linga, and today we will meditate on the Shiva Linga. We are moving from Sagun Sakar to Nirgun Nirakar. In that linga will come and Omkar will come, and then Nirgun Tattva we will go towards. So today this is the Mahima of Linga from Shiva Purana. Yes, Margali month, correct. Tiruvadirai only. Right? Yes, Margali month is a Tamil month where this Ardha Nakshatra will come, and then the procession is taken out and one waits for Ardha Darshanam of Bhagavan in Tiruvannamalai. Other places also, Chidambaram and many other places, the darshan of Shivji on that day is most auspicious, but specifically in Tiruvannamalai because Bhagavan manifested once there